Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Hello and welcome to the That's Audacious podcast. We have the fabulous Sharon Jurd with us, and I'm so excited about the conversation we're about to have. Sharon is a 7-figure business coach, a mindset coach, a success coach, a speaker, author, and the CEO of the Sharon Jurd Coaching Institute. She just does amazing, amazing work. She owns 9 companies. But she also enjoys margaritas and hiking. She has an amazing little puppy dog, an incredible business. She's a #1 best-selling author of 2 books about growing your business faster than your competitor and being an extraordinary woman in finance and franchising. And you have an amazing background and story, Sharon. But what I'd like to start off with is tell us where you came from. Where did Sharon come from? What's the journey that you've had to get to where you are now?
Well, if we go back to, there was a beautiful, daughter born in 1971. We can go right back to there. But I was brought up in a small country town. So I'm a country girl. I worked at the sale yards. I worked for a stock and station agent. So I have a lot of, when people ask me who I am, I have a lot of those country values that people know about, that, you treat everybody the same, you have a lot of respect for people. You always say hello to people in the street. And so when I'm describing myself, I think about my values, what's important to me, and one of the things that I loved from a very young age is travel. I loved going and experiencing things. I was very curious, and I still am, about, different cultures, different countries. And so I needed a job as such that could drive that value, And I said to somebody this week is that I wake up in the morning and I say, whose life am I going to change today? And I go to sleep at night and say, whose life did I change today? Now, what I do in between that, I don't really care. Like, I have passions and focus and the like, but, I started out in stock and station real estate. In real estate, I was helping people buy their first home. I was helping them downsize. In franchising, I help people get into their own business, and the like. And then in coaching, help them grow their coaching business and set up their lifestyle. So, all the way through, it was about helping people get from A to B, or pain to pleasure. So that's how I spend my days. However I deliver that, whether it's speaking from stage now, coaching one-on-one, in my master coach program, I'm doing that.
That is, I grew up in the country as well. And I think there's something about looking after the people in your community, because when push comes to shove and you need a hand with something, they're the people who are going to be first on the scene. When you're in the country, you can't just call up and an ambulance is there in 2 seconds and things like that, can you? You've got to rely on the people around you. So you don't burn your bridges, do you? You don't do that to people. And I think that's a lovely way to approach business the way that you do, is who can I positively impact in my day that's going to make me feel awesome. It's also maybe going to help my business as well, but more importantly, it's going to impact their lives so positively as well. Yeah. Do you think, Sharon, as well, that's helped your attitude towards the types of businesses that you've been involved with?
I've actually coached in over 127 industries, last count. That was a couple of years ago now. But it's people, so it's not really for me about what widget you're selling. It's about, what are your values? What's going on for you inside of you? What's in your thought processes? What are you saying to yourself, and what are you saying to others? And what are you projecting out? And what's your identity? Because we change identities during our life. If you want to leave your job to, say, do coaching, well, you've got a different identity now. And how do we build that out? So for me, I think, if you put out that you're a nice person, you'll attract nice people, right? So all of them, and I say it with all the love in my heart, the people in my program, I just love them all. They're so different, come from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different values, but I just love them all for who they are, and I think that comes from that smaller community where, you know, people are different in that small town, yet they all bring something to the table that's unique, I suppose.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. And it is about the connection that you have with the people in your community, isn't it? And the people that you put around you. So I'm always fascinated by this one as well. I know when you were working in property and real estate, you won a lot of awards. How many awards did you win? And why did you decide that awards was a great way to go for what you were doing?
Just in real estate alone, I last count was 36. So there was some outside of real estate while I was in real estate. But there was 36 awards that I won in a very short time. And the local, I always joke, the local Chamber of Commerce Awards, they were like, can you not enter this year because you're so good? You know, and every year it's just, and then that's turning people away because Sharon's winning it. And rightly so. Like we're judging it. We don't want to judge it and not award you the award when you are entitled to it as such, but please don't enter. So I became the judge then and the sponsor and the like. Because so I won a lot of different awards, and I was in the Century 21 brand as well, and so in real estate, so I won awards through Century 21, through the local chamber, other business awards along the way. Yeah.
And what was your mindset around doing that? Was your purpose to raise your profile or to add credibility, or what was it that made you go, oh, I think I'll do awards?
Yeah, well, it's all those benefits. I had to build credibility. So I went into a town and opened a real estate office where there were 6 other offices that had generational hand down. So they'd not been a new real estate office in that town for 25 years. And I knew not one person in that town, not one. So I was going in and nobody knew me or knew my expertise. So I had to quickly gain their trust. And from that was the credibility around the awards and the profile, because the more awards I won, the more I could get that into the media and people would see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. There is something about those we call it a snowball effect, where you just keep adding a layer after layer of credibility to what you're doing, and it builds to being this big profile. So let's move on from that into what you're doing now. And I know one of the big things you are very passionate about is hypnotherapy, and you've now trained and accredited and so on. How is that fitted with you as a businesswoman and what you're doing?
Well, it came about where I was coaching people, and I would get them to a certain point and I couldn't move them forward, or they wouldn't move forward. You know, we'd set strategies in the coaching session. This is what we're going to achieve this week. And then the next, I coach every second week. So the next second week we would get together and they were like, haven't done it. And then I become this browbeating, coach. And they're going, oh, you're my accountability coach. I don't even like that. I'd open up the call and they're like, oh, I haven't done it. And everyone would feel bad. And I'm like, there's got to be more to this than just having a good marketing plan or a good strategy, because these people are just not doing it. And so I went looking for what else can I offer, or how can I serve my coaching clients. So came across hypnotherapy through a friend, and I said, yeah, I want to do that for my clients. And I thought it was do for you, but anyway, I soon learned that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, but I thought I was going to do something to them. So I went and trained in that, and then I became so passionate about it that it wasn't only a tool in my tool belt. I look at my tools as a tool in the tool belt where I could pull out hypnotherapy or hypnosis, timeline therapy, and NLP when I needed it, but also that I wanted to share this with my coaches so they could share it with other people and share it with their clients. So I went through a very extensive training, and so I'm now a master trainer and practitioner with the International American Hypnosis Board. So I run an event here each year in Australia on the Gold Coast, and over those 3 days, my attendees become a hypnotherapist, a fully qualified hypnotherapist in 3 days. Yeah.
And what's that done to your coaching business now? How have you used that to improve the performance of the people you're working with?
Yeah, it's like dramatically changed it. And that's why I wanted to teach this to my coaches in my program, because it just catapulted me as a coach. It, just took me up another level, which then increases, your income, because people will pay more because I have these unique tools that not every coach has. And so for me, I say people come to me for the marketing plan. It's never the marketing plan. It's always what's going on up here, right? And so I work with people up here. Yes, I do marketing plans and strategies and the like, but if this is not right first, then they will not move forward with that. It won't work. And the example I give is, you can stand in a room with 10 different people, give those 10 people this, a marketing plan or strategy that works, and all of them will have different outcomes. And that comes from their internal thoughts. So their values, their beliefs, or what they're saying to themselves. So I sort that out first.
Brilliant. Yeah, awesome. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. If you like what you're hearing, there are lots of other episodes. You can find them on all your favorite channels, and please make sure to subscribe and like our channel, and you'll get more of those. Sharon, the nice thing about what we've been talking about to do with mindset and about your vision and your values and everything that all locks together and how you were brought up leads us nicely to this question around self-worth that I'd love to talk to you with, because so many of the people I see who either hold themselves back from going for awards and putting themselves out there, or when they are in for awards, they worry that they're going to win. They're fearing success, or they're not dealing with the fact that, oh, I might not win, and therefore that's a really bad thing, and now I'm a failure. There's all this self-talk that goes on. What's some of the tips that you can give us to help people maybe change their minds around putting themselves forward and getting into the spotlight?
I'm glad you talked about that, Lauren, because people fear two things: fear of failure and fear of success. And a lot of people think it's all about failure, but people truly fear success. What am I going to do if they call me up on stage and say I've won? Even though they may have, put pen to paper and decided what their talk was going to be, but in their mind, they're still not going to do the talk or the acceptance speech because they're fearful. Yeah. So the first thing, I say to people is, we have to be very careful with the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind sometimes gets confused between fear and excitement. And a lot of times people are excited, but they think it's fear. And they're telling the unconscious mind that it's fear, but in fact it's excitement. Because people say to me, don't you get scared going and talking up on stage? No, I get excited. That's the feeling I feel, because I want to deliver well. I want to share what needs to be shared and give, the attendees great value for their time and money. So when I say to people, you're feeling fear, check in and go, no, this is excitement. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about the process I've been through and the learnings that I've had, because as you know, you learn heaps about yourself when you're going for awards. And check in and say, and tell your unconscious mind, no, it's not. This is not fear, unconscious mind. This is excitement. And I want you to adjust that in my neurology. The other thing is, a lot of people ask themselves, why me? Why would I win? We were just talking about that. It's like, you see, it's like the duck on the water. The swan on the water. The swan looks all beautiful, but the little legs are going underneath. You'll never have it all together. You can win the most prestigious award. That doesn't mean everything's perfect in your business and life, right? You've still got these little legs going underneath, because you need to be moving forward. So a lot of people wonder why they would win, because they don't have it all together. No one has it all together. I think if I asked everyone to raise their hand right now, they'd be like, I don't have it together. So don't be so hard on yourself in the fact that, I won't win because, whatever you're saying. You have the same opportunity as everybody else to win. But the other thing that I ask, my coaches, I advise my coaches to do when they're, winning awards, is to visualize that win. Once you tell your unconscious mind to visualize it, then it will be true. So, and not in the fact that you go, oh, well, I think I'm going to win, or maybe not, not this ho-hum, but I truly believe I'm going to win. And if you just close your eyes and visualize 5 minutes after it's actually happened successfully, looking back on it and going, they called my name, I walked up, I clearly, gave my acceptance speech, I didn't trip up the stairs, I held my dress up so I didn't catch it on my shoes, whatever it needs to be, that you did it in an elegant way with poise, and therefore you're telling your unconscious mind that it is happened, and it doesn't know the difference between it has or it is. So if you truly believe it has happened, the unconscious mind will recalibrate everything for it to work out. So if you 100% believe that that's what's going to happen, it will happen.
Brilliant. Love it. And of course, my mind now is saying to me, oh, I don't know about that, Sharon, because I can't guarantee you're going to win the award. I mean, that's the thing with awards, is you just don't, you put your best foot forward and you do what you can, but not everybody can win, right?
No.
So the interesting thing is, I think in this country especially, the tall poppy syndrome that just is so insidious in our society stops us from putting ourselves forward in case we don't win, because then it's like, oh, I'll be a failure. I haven't won. I'm just a finalist. And I know it does feel amazing to win an award, but how do you deal with the fact that if you don't win, not getting down on yourself that's happened?
Yeah. So a couple of things. The person who wins believes it the most. That's my belief. So just believe more than everybody else you're going to win. But I get what you're saying is, okay, I didn't win. So when I won Franchise Woman of the Year for Australia, the first year I didn't win. And I think it was the first award I'd never won. And I beat myself up about it. And I blamed everybody else. I made excuses. I said, the lady who won it, she was retiring. They just gave it to her because it was her last year in franchising. Like, I was like, did all the things that people do, right? And yet, and there's an end, not an or. The end is I learned so much for the next time around, because the judges gave me great feedback. And the feedback that they gave me in the first year is because I'd had my book very recently before the award. And they said, this is where their words were in the feedback, you didn't brag on enough about your book, right? They used the word brag on. And I was like, oh, was I holding that back? Like, because you were saying about this tall puppies, I'm an author, and I didn't understand how important a best-selling author label is to other people, that it was a truly magnificent achievement, yet I wasn't telling the world about it. And so I really took that on. So the next year, then I was like, yeah, bragged on about my book, but I understood about self-promotion, that I really had to get that across, because this was face-to-face interviews as well. And so I really had to articulate things and not be worried about, being ego-driven, and the like. And I really felt that when I thought I was at a 10 out of 10, promoting myself, I was really only a 2 out of 10. So I had to push that more and really showcase what I had achieved. And if I hadn't have lost that in the first year, I wouldn't have learnt so much for the very next year, which I won.
Brilliant. Let's talk about that bragging a little bit more, because I love that term. You've got to brag. No, people in Australia and New Zealand as well, I think I don't know whether it's a cultural thing or whatever, we don't like egotistical people. We don't like braggers. We don't like people. And on the weekend, I was at an awards event, and somebody won an award, and he was absolutely full of himself. It was brilliant. He jumped up, he shouted, he was pointing, he leapt up on the stage, yes, I've won, and he was all hugging everybody, and he was so excited. He was just so passionate about the fact that he won. And the woman next to me at the table said, oh, I don't like that. He's a bit over the top. And I went, oh, how interesting is that? And we had this whole conversation. I said, actually, I wonder whether that's more a problem that you've got rather than a problem that they've got. And we had this, it was really interesting. It sort of struck a chord with her as well. She denied it, of course. But where does that come from, that we don't like to brag? We don't like, because in other countries, I like you give us the example of the car and the road, but other countries don't do that. We do. What's going on there, and how can we get over that?
Yeah, I think how we change the world is change ourselves. So that's why I coach, because I love celebrating in other people's successes. So whenever I see someone doing something that's amazing, I always reach out and congratulate them. And I know when I won the award, I got loads and loads of messages from people who I didn't know very well, but I really appreciated their time and effort to just say, hey, congratulations. And I think we need to do more of that as individuals. We can't change. Can we change the world? Yes, we can, by just what we do. And the other thing is not to hold ourselves back. If there's more people jumping around and cheering like that gentleman did, then it wouldn't be abnormal to some. Like if everybody did that as they came up on stage, we would go, oh, okay, this is the normal of what we do when we accept awards. So I think from our perspective, I always go, oh, when shit's going down, look within and make your changes. Celebrate more, hands in the air, high five someone. I'm at the gym, and if I beat my, time on the treadmill, I'm like, and some people go around, I'm like, oh, I don't care. I'm celebrating my successes. And if that's what I need to do, I don't go, oh, woo-hoo. I'm like, yeah. And so if we do more of that and we recognize other people's successes and pat them on the back and say, keep going, you're amazing, if we all do that individually as a collective, we can change the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about it before we hit the record button today. You were mentioning you see someone driving a Lamborghini or a Ferrari down the road here in Australia, and it's like they're a criminal. They're going to be they must be doing something illegal. They're a bad person.
They rip off.
To get that car. And whereas overseas in America, and that's like you drive an amazing car. People are like, yeah, go you. You've done amazing. What did you do to get there? Please teach me your ways. Yeah. So you're right. I think if we can collectively change the whole attitude towards winning and supporting each other, regardless of whether we're competitors, we're just other human beings on the face of this planet doing amazing things. Let's bring and get behind each other and make it because from your hypnotherapy point of view, can your body tell when you are actually celebrating and when you're actually trying to dial it back? Is it something?
Oh, yes, and you will have the reaction, because what you keep telling your unconscious mind, oh, I've got to stay safe. I've got to, over here I'm safe. If I, go out and say something, someone won't like me, but in life, someone's not going to like you. There's plenty of people who do not like me, and that's okay. You've got to be very comfortable with that. So when you go out and say, oh, I've won an award, you'll have someone, silently or publicly go, hoo-ha. And we tend to focus on that one person instead of the 999 other people that have gone, congratulations, you're amazing. So you got to get good at that. Focus on all the good stuff and don't worry about the 1% or 10% of people who are not on your journey or on the same page or have the same learnings. But your body will tell you. And it'll be loud and clear. You just got to listen.
I love it. Look, we've come more than enough. I covered a huge amount of ground in this short time. We could talk for ages.
I know.
At the end of every podcast that we do, we ask our guests the same question. Sharon, if you could go back in time to a certain point of your life and give yourself some advice around building your profile, stepping into what you've become as a leader in your field, what advice would you give yourself?
Number one awards, because we're talking about it. And I do say, I'm not saying it to be like cheesy, do the awards. It like made such a difference and still makes such a difference in my world. I would say build better relationships. I wasn't good at that when I was younger. If you weren't, I was making $1 million, get out of my way. And I really, I probably say it a bit bluntly than, I give myself credit for, but I was like, are you helping me now? No, move on, where I didn't understand the longevity of building relationships over longer term. And so now I'm, 80% of my time in my business is spent nurturing my strategic alliances and my relationships. So I do that. And the other thing that I would tell myself is do it sooner than I did, because you're never ready. And we sit here going, oh, am I ready to win an award? Am I ready to start a business? Am I ready to take the next step? You're never ready. You'll never be ready. And are you going to stuff things up? Yes, you are. but that's all the learning. So if I always say I would have done it, everything that I've done, I would have done it sooner.
Brilliant. I love it. Great advice. If you have enjoyed today's conversation, you want to know more about Sharon and what she does with her coaching, there'll be a link at the bottom of this podcast or the blog. You'll find it there. Go and visit her website. Go and get in touch with Sharon. Find out more about what she can do to help you with your mindset, with your business. If you're a coach, if you're wanting her help with hypnotherapy, with overcoming all these things, please get in touch with Sharon. Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing your knowledge, your journey, your insights today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. And I love that you said for people to connect with me, because I would love them to reach out and let me know what's going on in their world.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.